Welcome to Season 2 of the Nostalgically Hip podcast. I'm Andy.
I'm Ryan.
And we've got a great episode for you here tonight. If you like comedy, well, this is the place to be tonight. What do we got?
Comedy, man.
Comedy.
We're funny, so we're going to do stand-up for what? Half hour each? And then...
Yeah.
You look like I was serious. You're like, is that what we discussed?
Yeah, well, I had to think about it for a second.
You did.
Yeah, I'm like, are we doing that? 'Cause instead I started going through, because I know I told you one of my bucket list items is I want to do an open mic night.
Do you really?
Yeah,
Dude,
just
I would
once.
fucking love to see that.
Just once. It doesn't matter if I suck or I'm good, but it's a check in the box type of thing for me.
But it would be a check in the box if you were funny. Then you could say I stood up and made some people laugh. But if you just go up and stand on stage, that's not a check in the box. That's just somebody that's standing on stage.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm not going to just go up and stand on stage. I'm going to
try
to
tell some freaking knocked-out jokes?
Yeah, maybe some dad jokes, you know.
Dad jokes.
What was the one I heard the other night? Anyway, fuck that. So, comedy. Comedy is not what it used to be, man. There's... The woke shit has killed comedy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of thought about that. Earlier I figured we'd go through and we'd discuss like some of the comedy, movies, the comedy specials that we grew up watching, and then we get into like what happened. Where did it go wrong? But yeah, I mean, I think we're both thinking the same thing, right?
For sure.
But I guess in order to get to that, we got to go back to like what it was like, and I think anybody that's probably listening or watching kind of knows where we're going, and that's the golden age, right? And
yeah,
and who when you think of great comedians, who comes to mind for you?
Immediately, top of my head, Pryor,
right,
and Carlin,
right, yeah,
two of the best.
Mm-hmm.
I think two of the. If you want to look at it as pioneers, they kind of blazed the path for comedians.
Right.
Coming up and getting into the 80s, which we'll talk about shortly, but I think their brand of comedy, 60s and 70s, really paved the way for the comedians of the 80s to come in and get, well, let's just say raw, Eddie Murphy.
Right, yeah. I think we've mentioned him before.
We have.
How great he was, and
he's still funny to this day, man.
Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of him. I think, from what I know or I can think of, would be Shrek, right?
Yeah.
This freaking
Donkey,
yeah. Which my kids love that, but yeah, I mean it's not the Murphy that I knew.
No, but I get it. You have to adjust with the times if you want to still be relevant.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I think he's done a good job of that. He's moved into more of the, I guess, kids genre, Shrek, but don't forget about Dr. Dolittle and
yeah, never seen it.
The Nutty Professor.
Never seen it.
It's fucking Nutty Professor's great because he played so many different roles.
Mm-hmm.
He played the mother, the father, the fat professor.
Yeah, what? I did see that. I think I watched that during COVID, and I think that was the first time I'd seen it. But yeah, you're right. The whole family.
Yeah. And of course, Jada Pinkett, before she was Jada Pinkett Smith, played his love interest in that movie.
Okay.
That came out in, I guess, the 90s, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm jumping ahead again. Going back to Carlin. Carlin was one of my dad's favorites,
Mm-hmm.
And when I was younger, I didn't get it because I was younger, but going back and rewatching, that dude's spot on. He's ahead of his time, man.
Yeah, right. He was he would talk about real life shit and make fun of it.
Right.
And then he was also kind of political. I remember, I just watched the documentary that's on HBO. It's great, by the way. I think it's like 3 episodes or maybe more, but it's great. And they break it down. I didn't know like he was the suit and tie guy. And he just threw it all out. But he was like, I guess he was making $250,000. Now don't quote me on this, but he's making $250,000 a year, which back then,
like
60s was
that's a
killing
lot of money.
it. And
sure.
He talked to his wife, and he gave it all up because he's like, I can't be who I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to, he's becoming freaking Jimmy Fallon or somebody like that. He's bought and paid for.
Yeah.
And he didn't like that, so he gave up everything, his home, everything, and started doing what he did, which is the Carlin that I knew, right? Like, I wasn't in, I think in the 70s, that was too ahead of my time. I was more, as a kid, I was prior Gallagher.
Oh, God.
I was Gallagher was a big one in our household, dude. Like Gallagher, we didn't miss an episode of Gallagher.
Was that on Showtime? Was that?
I can't remember. I would assume HBO or something.
Yeah, one.
Sledge-O-Matic.
Yeah.
Prop comedian, right?
Right.
And he was big. I was sneaking prior at night, and
Let me tell you why I don't like Gallagher.
Okay.
Because Gallagher opened the door for that douchebag Carrot Top.
Right. You didn't like.
I can't stand Carrot Top, man. I don't find him funny. And he's weird looking. He had some plastic surgery and
some steroid use, right?
Yeah. And he's just he's a clown. He looks like a clown.
Right. Yeah. Didn't he wear eyeliner or something?
Yeah. He's a freak, man.
Yeah.
He was on somebody's podcast not too long ago, and I listened to maybe 10 minutes of it. I'm like, fuck this guy. I can't do it. But anyway, Gallagher was the biggest with the props.
And that was perfect for me as a kid, because to me, man, and I did go back when I was like flipping through it, and the YouTube, and I said to the wife, I said, we got to pull him up and look, and it didn't hold up. I mean, maybe I'd have to go through the whole thing, but it didn't really hold up.
No, I couldn't watch it today. You know who we're really missing and skipping over? Cosby. Cosby opened the door for a lot of comedians.
Yeah.
Now, he's a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he got what he deserved.
Yeah.
You can't deny.
What did he do?
He had a lot of stand-up.
No, I mean, what did he do?
What did he do? Allegedly. He allegedly went to jail for,
He's bad? He did some bad stuff?
He had some magic in his Jello pudding pot,
Yeah, which brings me to the Chappelle. Well, we'll get to Chappelle, but remember that? Did you watch that special when he talked about Bill Cosby? Man, I'm getting way ahead. I'm
pretty sure I did. I had to, because I'm a huge Chappelle fan.
Yeah, and Chappelle's awesome, but Cosby was big. Gallagher was huge, at least in my household. Mm-hmm. Richard Pryor. That was the one. Like my brother had tapes. Cheech and Chong, which I think we.
Oh my God! Yes.
They had the movies and they had the cassettes, because like my brother had the cassettes and I would always listen to them.
What's a cassette?
Right. That's how.
For those of you listening out there, what's a cassette?
Yeah, we don't know what that is.
It's this. I don't know.
But they were huge, and then there was kind of like, can you think of any others? Like I'm thinking 70s, but
there were. Now they weren't good. There were a few female comics running around in the 70s. Paula Poundstone comes to mind.
I was a kid that I remember she had each video special. I actually thought that was funny, and it's probably not.
I couldn't get into her, man.
Yeah.
I just as misogynistic as this is going to sound,
mm-hmm.
I just don't find most female comics funny.
I don't think they are. I mean, you can. It's not just a you and I thing. I've heard this from everybody. People that go and see them a lot, they would always be like, "It's just not the same."
No.
And I think it comes down to like guys in general. I mean, you always see your, like when it used to be more so, I think, but when women are just these guys, because we just say shit,
right?
And it was crazy but weird, and it that's what makes it funny. Time and place, of course, but I think that's where when women kind of do that, it kind of seems like trying too hard.
Way too hard.
Yeah.
Way too hard. And I'm going to go out and some of it, and we're a product of our upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
In the time that we were brought up. Again, this is going to sound misogynistic, but female sportscasters drive me fucking insane. I can't stand. It's like listening to nails on a chalkboard to me.
Yeah, and there's a lot of. I don't pay attention to that. Like when I watch sports, I just watch sports. I don't give a shit. Like I got so many people like who they're married to. Like I barely know like Giselle. Like I always hear. I don't pay attention to that shit. So I don't pay attention to the sideline people. I don't listen to don't watch the commercials.
Right.
I watch the sports, but I do know that there's a lot of women too that, especially the older ones that grew up during our era and have always watched sports, that they don't like it. That they just don't feel that's the place.
It just doesn't feel right, really. The Dodgers have a female sportscaster, a play-by-play announcer, and when I heard that somebody could potentially stream illegally some baseball games and watch them. I couldn't get the Cardinals. I mean, this guy couldn't get the Cardinals announcers, right? So ended up watching the same game, but it was with the Dodgers announcers, and they had a female announcer, and I fucking had to mute the goddamn thing, man, just to enjoy the game. I was too fixated on listening to her, and it's just.
Did you feel that it was like, and we're getting off on a complete thing.
Yeah, I know. I'm good at that.
But did you feel like comedians, like we were just discussing that, did you feel that they kind of overcompensated maybe? Like they're trying
100%.
too hard? Or?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And I guess maybe if they were just themselves. But then again, I'll get off the sports thing here in just a second, but a lot of sportscasters nowadays are former players. You know, we don't have any female professional baseball players. And so it's like, to me, it's just like, look, I'm trying to break into this because I'm gonna set a new record or break ground because I'm the first female. Shut the fuck up with that. You know, it's just, we're not watching the game for that.
Right.
You know, we're watching the game for the game. But anyway,
That's everything.
Get back to the comedians. Bill Cosby had a lot of influence on a lot of early comedians. You know, and he started like late 50s. And into the 60s, and he was on that show. I Spy.
And then he did Fat Albert, because that's how I knew him.
Yeah, Fat
I
Albert.
watched Fat Albert on Saturday morning, and they draw that stupid. Didn't he have like a fucking
like that
sketch pad,
whatever?
Yeah, and he'd draw some shit, and he'd talk, and he'd explain. Now this is what Albert's doing, like, and then and
Much mouth.
Yeah, he was too clean for me. So as a kid coming up, and everybody knows it, even you want to watch or hear the dirty, filthy shit,
right?
Because you're not supposed to, right?
Right.
It's curiosity killed the cat kind of thing, and that's like Cosby dude didn't interest me. I didn't think it's funny. And Pryor was the guy. And Pryor to maybe Cosby. But Pryor was fucking funny, dude, and he was cool, and he knew how to stay in between the lines. You know, even like race has always been a big thing in comedians. I think more so now. It's like they could go on the whole fucking hour about race, but he knew how to balance it out. And there would be a couple comments, but they'd be funny, and it was not offensive to anybody. Of course, people just didn't get offended back then anyway. But
keep that thought, because we're really going to talk on that. So. Yeah, I think if you listen to a lot of interviews with different comedians, you know, like from the 80s and whatnot, a lot of them will say that Cosby was a big influence. And I agree with you. I didn't really find him that funny, but I did enjoy Fat Albert.
Yeah, dude, I watch it all the time. Did you ever watch, here we go again, but the Christmas special, and there was the Halloween one, which I just pulled up recently.
No, I don't think I did.
Oh, dude, you gotta watch those. Watch them this Christmas and Halloween.
Hey, buddy, you can bring that over here to me. Hey, bring him out.
And like I said, Carlin, for me, he didn't come along. I don't think I probably seen him on TV, but I don't think
Thank you, buddy.
He really grabbed me until like the 80s, and that's when I fell in love, because I was like, I loved that he was mean. He was, and I love that kind of humor. I love that, like he would do the shit that you'd see every day, and we'd all see it, and it pissed us all off. Like people that, he'd always say, like, those people that turn their signal on after they turn, they're going to show you where they've been. The bike riders, he'd cover the tennis speed riders, and dude, I loved it. And I always thought there was something wrong with me. So I always thought, why am I so mean?
Well, for the record, there is something wrong with it.
Right.
In fact, there's a lot wrong with it.
Right. But that made me laugh, and I would just sit there, and I remember girls, back then I was dating, and I think that was during junior high school, and they'd look at me and go, God damn, and then it wouldn't be for like years later, I was out in Vegas, and my mom had come out to visit for Thanksgiving, and there was a comedian on who I'd seen before, but I didn't really know much about him, and I put him on, I think it was Netflix or something, and I was laughing so hard, I was like crying, and my mom was laughing at me, and my wife came out, And she was laughing. He goes, "What are you laughing at?" And he was just as mean and reminded me so much of Carlin, and that was Bill Burr.
Oh,
Like those
Bill
early
Burr
ones when he was
great.
mean. And he's like and that
he's
really
fantastic, man.
And then I thought, what's wrong with me? I'm laughing at all this mean shit because that's what he was. He reminds me a lot of Carlin, but
you can see the influence in his material.
I think 100%, yeah. But Carlin was huge in the 80s, right? And then, another one who, and I think I went back a while ago, and this was 80s, kind of after Murphy, I think toward the late 80s, and I actually seen him in concert, was Andrew Dice Clay.
Oh my God.
And
let's hold up on that for a second.
Okay.
I want to touch on Carlin just a little bit more because, Carlin really opened the door for comedians when he went to jail over his act.
Right, yeah.
It was either 10 or 20 dirty words
that you can't say.
That you can't
and
say.
He said
how
many did he get
single
through?
one of them.
He got all of them?
He got them all, and he was
What were
arrested
they?
afterward. I you know what, I didn't research.
Well, I'd be so impressed if you rattled those off.
But it's you look at it now and you're like, he got arrested over that. That's how far we've come from. Your First Amendment right, which was being squashed for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically gave the big middle finger
Mm-hmm.
to the system and said, "I'm gonna fucking do it anyway."
Mm-hmm.
And he did, and that I think really opened the door not only for him, which skyrocketed his career because of it, but it opened the door for so many others like Chappelle and fucking all the, I don't want to say modern day comics, but Eddie Murphy, Dice Clay, Kinnison,
Mm-hmm.
they're all fucking raunchy, and if it wasn't for Carlin doing what he did, they wouldn't have the acts that they had, and who knows if they would have even been famous or not.
Yeah, good point.
So standing up for his rights and what he believed in, really, it did so much for comedy. Not only just stand up, but for movies and radio, and now look, we're doing podcasts, and we can say whatever the fuck we want to say on a podcast.
Can we say those 10 dirty words?
If I knew them. You know what? It's my phone.
Let's go back to Murphy real quick, because that for me he represented, I think, what do you call that? The changing of the guard for me, because he was like my generation. I grew up watching him. I followed him from Saturday Night Live, and he did Buckwheat, and
okay.
Yeah, and he was freaking great, dude. And he went and did that stand up, and I remember thinking, well, how
Delirious, right? Delirious.
Yeah, Delirious, and the second one was Raw. I think I was in high school for Raw. But Delirious, dude, and I told you, I mentioned this before, I had that tape, and my dad found out, maybe with my brother. But that was incredible, and to me, he represented my generation, because I think he was he was young.
He was
19. Young. At that point, I was probably just freaking, 12, in that age range, and he was mine. He was like the guy that we grew up seeing.
Right.
The old Carlin was more my dad's, he's 60s, and he'd been around forever, long before I'd seen him. But that was what was cool about Murphy. And then, we didn't talk about this before, where during COVID we went back and watched, and dude, we were cracking up. No, we were drinking, but we were still cracking up. It was
all right.
It was funny as shit. And then we watched Pryor, and I think maybe Murphy got a lot from Richard Pryor, right? But they just kept growing, and like what you said about Carlin, that allowed them to expand,
right,
to go into that. But yeah, what did you think about Murphy? We all kind of, I think we all felt the same way.
Love Eddie Murphy, man. Same way. Followed him on Saturday Night Live. The skits they did, the impressions, man. He can do so many different impressions.
Yeah,
and when Delirious came out, holy fuck.
Yeah.
I watched that because I think it was on HBO. And you know how HBO is. They'll play the shit
all the time,
out of
that fucking loop, dude.
Every time they'd come on, I would watch it, And to me, it's still funny and relevant today. I can go back and watch it and still laugh my ass off.
Yeah.
And people our age, you can say a quote from Delirious, and they'll know immediately what you're talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
Aunt Bunny.
Yeah, Aunt Bunny.
Yeah. My shoe.
Goo.
It's almost timeless.
It is timeless, dude. If you take out, that every generation has their person. I think when he talked about I think he talked about Bill Cosby, right? Tell Bill to have a Coke and smile.
He
He
did.
talked about, you know, he did some Michael Jackson. Because, I mean, did he think he was Michael Jackson for a while? Right? Like he kind of, the leather.
Well, the leather,
the
yeah.
leather.
But you know what? I don't know if it was so much he thought he was Michael Jackson, as leather was just in.
Was
man,
it?
man. You know,
I never had any.
I didn't have
Yeah,
any.
I never had it. He had the leather jumpsuit.
Yep.
With it was like studs.
Yeah, purple, I think.
Stud sequins on the like that.
Delirious was red, I think.
Was
and
it
then,
red? Yeah.
And then Raw was purple.
Right,
How
right.
fucking
I never
sad
had one of
am I?
those. And, yeah.
How
That's
sad am
pretty
I that I
fucking
know
sad,
that?
man.
We just end this shit right now.
Yeah, it's definitely sad. Yeah, dude. He represented, and later on, like I was saying, we got Clay, and that was the guy, dude, for me. Because, by the way, Rodney Dangerfield. This is how I was introduced to him, and it's probably mid '80s.
Oh, I thank you.
You know that special?
Thank you. Yes.
And
Thank you for
I think
bringing
Roseanne
up
Barr was on it.
Mhm.
I can't remember the other ones. The only one I remember really
Kinnison.
was Kinnison on there. Yeah, I think you're right. But for me, I wasn't a big Kinnison guy. He screamed. That's what he did,
Yeah.
right? But I'm sure he was funny. I just didn't get it back then.
I liked Kinnison more in the movies
Mhm.
than I did his stand-up routine.
Back to school.
Yes. Yes. It's fucking sand!
Yeah.
Oh, that fucking
But dude, I will never forget watching that Rodney Dangerfield special.
it
And
was great.
then he came on, and I mean, he had that freaking it factor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who the hell is this guy? And he just started rattling off those poems,
Yeah.
nursery rhymes,
Yes.
dirty nursery rhymes, dude. And I remember I was hooked.
Yeah,
I was like, this guy's breaking all the freaking rules. That back then, at least, it was funny as shit, you know, to like a 13, 14-year-old kid. And he was cool as shit.
Yep.
I mean, I followed that guy all the way, dude. I went and seen him in concert.
Really?
I went and seen Ford Fairlane opening weekend.
Yeah. I like Fort Fair.
Dude, I just watched that during COVID too. And you know what, man?
Is it awful now, or it's not the same? Is it?
It's not bad. You know, I like Clay so much. I'm going to say it was good. And there's some funny parts. But it's, you know, it's that hip strike while the iron's hot kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a total 80s fucking production.
Yeah. Right,
You know?
yeah. Yeah, and
Well, we're getting back to Eddie Murphy, man. You know, Saturday Night Live, he was amazing. His stand-up specials were great. But then, you know, you got movies like Beverly Hills Cop, which the first one I really liked.
huge, right? And you know what I heard, man? That was supposed to be my man Stallone, right? Stallone was supposed to play that part.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think he couldn't do it or something because back then Stallone was doing what? He
Yeah.
had all the
Everything.
hits, right? Yeah. Some of my favorite movies were being made then. Some people think they're cheesy, and I couldn't disagree more. But
Well, I will agree that they're cheesy,
Mhm.
but I still love them.
yeah, I love them all, dude. I'm a huge Rhinestone fan. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but
Was that the one with Dolly Parton?
Dolly Parton,
Yeah.
dude. I just watched that recently, and people just rip on that. I fucking love that show, and he's having fun. They're having fun. The music's even catchy, but
I've only seen
It's
it
comedy.
once. I really don't remember a lot about it.
dude, you gotta watch it because my wife had never seen it, right? So I showed her when we were living in Vegas. I said, "Oh, you gotta watch this." So we got it, and she was like, "Oh my god!" You know, that, like when you're embarrassed and you get because he's singing, but she loved it. She goes, "That's just it's like a guilty pleasure."
Does he sing like he talks?
Yeah, it's bad. But actually, she's a singer, and she goes, "He's not that bad. He can carry a tune."
Mhm.
She goes, "He's not that bad. It's just funny." 'Cause it's so-
Seeing Rocky. But
Yeah, it's like, but it's great.
I have to go back and
Yeah,
watch that for sure.
it's great. And it's only like an hour and a half long. It's worth. I love that show, and I don't know how proud that they are of that show, but they should be freaking proud of it because it's not Rocky, it's not, and it's not breaking ground. It's kind of like the Dice Clay thing, but I don't take myself so seriously or TV that seriously that I can't sit down and watch Rhinestone and love that fucking thing for everything it's worth.
I'm
dude.
gonna look it up tonight. As a
Oh
matter
man!
of fact.
And good luck. You're gonna have to probably outreach for that damn thing because it's hard to find. You won't be able to buy it.
Mhm.
It's hard to find it. I don't know if that's on purpose.
It might be on YouTube somewhere.
You can probably get it on YouTube, yeah, but I don't think I've got a copy. If
Oh, do
can't
you
get it,
really?
I've got several copies.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I've got the director's cut. No, there's no director's cut for that fucking show, dude. It's great though.
It's good.
Yep, it's awesome. check it out, definitely.
I need to borrow one of your copies then.
Definitely, yeah. You know, dude, one of the things too is the movies back then were so much different. So the comedies,
yeah,
as well, right?
Yeah.
Comedians with Richard Pryor did some great.
Oh, he's done a lot
great
of
Silver Streak, Stir Crazy,
Brewster's Millions,
Bruce, oh, man, I
The
love
Toy.
that show. Mhm.
Yeah, and they're all funny.
All funny.
All funny.
He was
Silver
good.
Streak was the one with Gene Wilder, right?
Yeah, he was
that- I
in
can't
that
feel
with
my
yeah
name.
him and Stir Crazy. They
Stir Crazy.
and they
That's what
did
I'm thinking.
See No Evil, Hear No Evil. They did a lot, dude. You'd be surprised.
Those two were hilarious.
Right.
Well, all right, since you brought that up, let's go back to movies like Blazing Saddles.
Okay.
Classic, in my opinion.
I'd seen it for the first time, like about 3-4 years ago. My buddy he just always talked about it, and I said, I'm gonna watch it.
Mhm.
And I think I remember it being on cable in the day, but I never sat down and watched it. But he was saying they couldn't make that today.
Fuck, no, they couldn't.
But I had a different opinion of it, dude, 'cause they wasn't bashing. It was more or less actually making fun of the people
right.
in that era for being like, you know.
But people are way too sensitive nowadays.
Mhm.
And they take an average 21-year-old. You sit them down and watch that movie. They would. I almost guarantee you they wouldn't laugh one single time.
Yeah.
It's a different era.
You said they'd feel bad. It'd be one of those like, ooh, I shouldn't laugh, or they, how they sit and, they're too worried about virtue signaling to actually have a good time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Picking out what they need to say is wrong, so they can
Keep going.
look good, you know. Which is, you know, that's I think one of the things the biggest things that's happened with comedy today.
People have forgotten how to laugh.
Well, they take themselves too fucking serious.
Yeah.
Dude. That's the worst part about it is, you know, talking about how, and that's kind of where we were going, is comedy was so much different then. But, you know, like I'm a big Magnum PI fan, and one of the things that always, you know, you go back and you watch Magnum, which still holds up, always will, but like they didn't show blood a lot. You know, somebody gets shot, and back then we'd all go, "Where's the blood?" And then we started getting it. They started putting it in every show. But I think of going back and looking at that now, we should have been careful what we asked for, because with that, losing that innocence, that dumbing down, and asking for things to be more real, they made them more real. And then as a result, I think we started to take ourselves too seriously. And then we started to analyze everything that we just didn't analyze before, because I think it all just kind of fed each other. Then more violence, but, you know, it just, everything became too real. And it became real in our shows, it became real, and then you're just not getting stuff or the quality.
Well, it's hard to separate reality from fantasy at that point, you know? And a lot of those shows that were done like Magnum, they were done well, but you knew it wasn't real. So it was that element of being able to escape and watch a show and forget about life for a while.
Fuck yeah, dude. And it's a diversion from reality. You know, I just watched Sisu on it's fucking awesome, by the way.
What is it?
Sisu.
Sisu.
Gotta watch it. You gotta watch it tonight.
Okay.
It's incredible. You can get it on Amazon.
I remember seeing an advertisement.
It's incredible. It's gory as shit. But there's a point in it where my wife goes, that's kind of getting out of control. I'm like, that's the point.
Right.
You just go with it. It's a popcorn movie. Like, everybody got so fucking serious about, well, how could he do that? Or how could that happen? Or how did he get there? And breaking it all down, that everything else got broken down. The language, the humor, if we're going to break that down, let's take it to the next step. I think that's where we lost that ability to just dumb down. And TV used to serve it like you go to work, you know, you'd struggle, you come home, you feed your family, you eat dinner, and you sit down and watch TV and do anything you could not to think about the real world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you knew people, you know what a real, you know, you can imagine, you can see war footage, you'd see what real bullets look like. You don't need to see it on TV, but we do. We see it everywhere now. And then I just think it desensitized us, and then we had to look for something. That's the only thing I can relate to why we lost.
I think it started going at, let me back up a little bit. We have a friend named Stizo that he likes to say comedy was lost during the Obama era.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't know if he's trying to put it on Obama or just saying that's the general time frame, but I tend to agree with the timing of it. It seems like when Obama came into office, everybody lost their ability to laugh.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody lost their ability to not take things so seriously. And I'm not saying it's Obama's fault. I'm not saying it wasn't, but it's just it was that time of the era that we live in that comedy seemed to take a nosedive.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you can't. People are so worried about offending everyone, and that's what comedy is about: making fun of shit, of the everyday shit that's so ridiculous that comedians used to be able to get away with saying it, and we all laughed because we could relate and we thought the same way. We just couldn't get away with saying stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, well, shit, comedians are getting canceled left and right. They're getting censored. Look at fucking Chris Rock, man.
Yeah.
We'll come back to Chris Rock.
Right.
But I want to back up just a little bit. We talked about some of the 60s. We talked about some of the 70s and 80s. But let's talk about some of the 90s, because there were some good comedians in the 90s. Adam Sandler, Dana Carvey, I would say late 80s into early 90s. Hilarious. Some of the, who do you have? Oh, Chris Farley, man.
Yeah, that was a short-lived one, right?
Yeah, but and it was that stupid comedy that was mindless.
Yeah.
Tommy Boy, Black Sheep, Adam Sandler with Waterboy, and all the movies he came out with. They're so stupid, but yet you can't help but to laugh and watch them over and over again.
Yeah, Sandler's I find him interesting, dude, because I'm a huge fan of. We watch it at least 2 times a year at Halloween. Hubie's Halloween.
Yes.
And at first my wife was like making fun of me for it. She's like, I just don't. And I'm like, this freaking thing's awesome. And now like it's got like a cult following.
For
It's
sure.
fucking good, dude. But he manages to not. This is what I appreciate about him is he's able to be funny. He's able to still be in that realm, but he doesn't go either way. He's not virtue signaling.
Mm-hmm.
He stays completely away from all that.
Yeah.
And he doesn't seem to care. Like, oh yeah, I need to make some social commentary. He doesn't do it.
Mm-mm.
He stays completely away from that, and that's the smart thing to do because you can't win if Budweiser's finding out right now. Budweiser's finding out that you can't go one way and then double back because you're gonna you've just pissed off both sides, and that's why it's just smart. I know they say silence is violence. Like, we have been punched in your fucking face then, because only a guy that hasn't had their ass beat can say silence is violence. Because I got news for you.
Bud Light, that's the training beer, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
okay.
Yeah, dude. Like they've lost quite a bit of money, and now they've partnershiped up with. I just heard this. This is hilarious, actually. Harley Davidson. So they went from
Wow.
a trans to Harley. I mean, that's not like
That's-
desperation.
If that's not backpedaling, I don't know what is.
That's worry.
So
That's what that is.
I have it through very good sources.
Mhm.
I'm not going to mention any names,
Mm-hmm.
but this VP of their marketing or advertisement that pulled that shit,
Mhm.
she pretty much went rogue and did it on her own. The higher ups of the company had no clue what was happening.
I don't understand how that can happen because those kinds of decisions that's a public.
I have it from a
I know. We talked about this, and I know.
uh,
I to me that sounds like damage control, but like, hey,
not coming from the person that I talked to.
okay,
Well, I don't want to say too much because
Right.
I don't want to give it. I don't want to put their business out there.
that's the good thing
Yeah,
about having
permission.
people like that and breaking up. One of the things with corporations these days is if you can put something and pay people a lot of money, and then you sit at the top, and then it just shit trickles down, right?
Right.
And you can always say, well, it wasn't me, it was this person. But she still hasn't been fired. There still hasn't been an apology made. So how look, if someone did something like that and literally cost you billions, what, they're at $56 a share now. Now Target's fallen too.
Jesus.
Yeah. So they cost you that kind of money and you didn't fire them? Nah, dude. Why wouldn't she be
Well,
fired already?
You know, in a normal, sane world,
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with you, but
Right.
we don't live in those times anymore, man. And to me, it's almost like they're too afraid of the backlash of firing her
Mm-hmm.
because of the
Well, they're
society that
getting
we
it
live
though
in.
because they're not backing her up. So because they're not backing her up as much as the LGBTQ whatever it is thinks that they should be. Now they've turned against them. So now it's like you're double fucked.
I'm gonna tell you what, the LGBTQ community, whatever it is, you can go fuck yourselves because I support the individual. I don't care if you're gay or if you're into whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't care. But when I draw the line is when you start pushing your agenda so much that it affects decisions of everyday normal living people for such a small percentage of the population. That's when I have issues with it. You know what? Don't tell me how to think.
Mm-hmm.
I can make my own decisions. If I want to support you, I'm going to support you. If I don't want to support you, fuck you. I don't have to. It's still America. But the community on a whole, they just want and want and want. And they don't want to compromise in any way, shape, or fashion. And to me, yeah, just go fuck yourselves on a whole. Individuals, I have several gay friends, and I love them just as much as I love anybody else. And I don't judge them, but it's the politics behind it is what really pisses me off. But you know what?
It's everything though, man. It creeps into everything, you
Let,
know.
let me.
Do you think Paula Poundstone was a lesbian?
Do I think Paula Poundstone was or is a lesbian? I'm not really a betting man, but I would certainly take those odds to Vegas.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when she that was kind of the thing too, is it wasn't as flamboyant as it was, right?
Right.
Like you kind of knew, like even as a kid, I didn't know much about sex or anything like
But you knew
that.
something was different.
Yeah, like Paul Lynde. You remember Paul Lynde?
Oh God, yeah.
Dude,
He's quarters of football back.
but you knew something was off.
But it was still funny.
But yeah, but he didn't it wasn't like all over town and
Right.
have to talk about it all the time. You figured, as a kid, you knew that, what goes on, but you didn't, Paul Lynde wasn't wearing shirts and he wasn't joining groups and he wasn't in parades and, he got it done and who knows, maybe, I don't know, maybe he kept it quiet. Did he keep it quiet?
I highly doubt
I think
it.
they kept a little more quiet back then, right? Because they were like,
More so than today, for sure.
yeah, but I think they felt they maybe had. Do you think they felt they had to?
Yeah.
So they would keep it quiet, and then I found out. I was watching a show, and Roddy McDowell, which again another guy,
Mhm.
like if you ever see Evil Under the Sun, man, he's in that, or a lot of his movies, he's in that. It's like this freaking guy. Even as a kid, like I'm 10, I know this freaking dude's gayer than a $3 bill. But I was reading the thing, and he kind of never really talked about it, but he never got married. So that would kind of, so
You're
if
suspect.
suspect, right? I just thought maybe he was smart. He just never got married.
Yeah, he's smarter than the rest of us.
But
Again, I don't care of an individual's orientation. I really don't. It has no bearing on my life whatsoever. I know people that if they find out a certain actor is gay, fuck that. I'm not watching any of their movies.
no
ever
way,
again.
not anymore, right? Because I don't think
There's
that
still
really.
I still know some people like that. They're ignorant. They're older.
My, my mom's 86, dude, and she doesn't even care about that crap. I think that, and that's why I think a lot of this we're talking about how comedy died because everybody got so sensitive because they wanted to hyper focus on this shit. It doesn't really exist, man. This country's not that homophobic. Most people got shit going on. They're not racist. If anything, even though, you've said you've experienced stuff or seen stuff. I never have. I think everybody just. It's like everybody got so fucking bored. And then I think a lot of it is the white guilt stuff where people felt that I need to make up for that now. But look, you're not doing a lot of these people any favors, like you're just saying. They don't, these groups, all you've done is just kind of take the stick out of their hands too, where they don't even feel free. Because they'll turn on, look, it's not about race or sex or anything. It's really about a political side today.
Yep.
And
But all those factors that you just mentioned are wrapped into that political.
right, yeah. Well, they just did. I just seen a thing where there was as Whoopi Goldberg, who was another '80s comedian, right? And she was talking about it was some famous guy. I can't even remember. I mean, I just seen it, and she was telling him how he should, or her. I can't remember who it was, but they're a black person too. But they're on the it's the guy running for president, black guy on the Republican, but he's a Republican. So the minute that you're
Kane?
no Tom Abbott, Rick Abbott, Rick Tom,
Sure.
okay.
Uncle Tom?
But
Whoa, wait a minute.
But he's a black guy, dude, and that's what. So she's up there. Well, if these people can get, and it's like, no, that's. So it has nothing to do with color, or it has to do with political sides. Because the minute that you're a black person or whatever, you're all of a sudden you're no, and if you're on the right, you're no longer a black person.
Right.
Or if you're Peter Thiel's a great example of a person on the right. Gay is Peter Thiel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, gays can be help Trump, and then as soon as he was helping Trump and stuff like that and funding him, all of a sudden he wasn't gay anymore. He was just on the right. He lost all of his privileges.
Well,
select status.
It's tribalism, is what it is.
Yeah, but it's
our
not
side
gay.
against your side.
Right.
But we should be coming together, you know. And I think here's a segue.
Mm-hmm.
I think comedy is a great tool to bring people together. You know, if we can just
it used to be right.
take the stick out of our ass.
Yeah.
And just realize that these are jokes.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to
No
laugh.
one really feels like that. And if they did, they wouldn't be on a comedy stage. They'd probably be out burning freaking
right.
crosses somewhere and
Playing banjos.
playing banjos in the middle of the woods somewhere. You know, I seen a video the other day. The girl's name was Chrissy or Christy. I think it's Chrissy Mayer or Meyer, Mayr.
Sure.
But she's a stand-up comedian, and she was at some club. I think it was in Texas, and she was doing the trans jokes, stuff like that. And the people in the crowd, of course, they were all overweight. It was like a table full of freaking women, just hadn't freaking had a salad in 10 years. And yeah, they did with something, and they start saying something to her. I think she was making fun of Dylan Mulvaney or whatever her freaking name is, and they got offended. You know, they had to make their point, but she could have just let it ride. But they can't do that, so they had to say something. So she went at him hardcore. They got up and left, but so, it was funny because you see him and you already know what you're going to see because you can't really see him. Then you see him stand up, and you realize this is all a bunch of plus sizes. And they get up, you know, they haven't seen a frickin' McDonald's they haven't stopped at. And they get up and leave, and then they say as they're leaving, they do the rabbit punch, right? Like, you homophobic, fuck you homophobic, or something like that, or transphobic, or whatever the fucking keyword is today. And she was talking about it, and dude, she just lit these, made fun of their weight. She's
just written
no mercy, dude. And I thought, good for you. And I think she's from St. Louis. I might be wrong, but I think she's from St. Louis, dude. And it was awesome to see because it's like, you know, get the fuck out. And what do you think? You go into a comedy store, you're gonna be offended, dude. I've been at they fucking picked on me. I'm not like, oh, I'll kill you. You know, it's a comedy.
It's fun.
I expect you're gonna make fun of all the shit.
Right.
It's like, I've heard worse, but.
Stop taking yourself so seriously.
And stop thinking you're going to look good because you're defending someone that doesn't need your fucking defense. Most likely, you know...
You know what? The best thing that the LGBTQ community, whatever we're calling them nowadays, could do is just fucking lighten up a little bit. Take a step back, all right? Enjoy life, man.
Yeah, if you were so happy that you came out, then, if you're a guy, you're just freaking running through pipe. You know, you don't even have time to be angry.
Right.
You know, vice versa, you're girls, you're just burning out freaking vaginas everywhere you go. You don't have you don't have fucking time to be angry.
Right.
You think you're like, I can do it. Where do you get all the time to be angry all the time? It's because you want to be angry all the time.
Yeah. It comes down at the end of the day, you've got way too much energy focused in the wrong direction. If you'd focus on the positive in your life, making your individual life better, you'd be so much happier.
Well, that's what it is. It's non-successful people generally, in most cases, that are upset by it, and they think they're going to, I guess, balance the playing field by. But you're not. You're just making yourself miserable. You're making everybody else miserable, and that's like, again, it's trickled down into comedy when you got a lady that's standing up doing her job. Now think about that. Think about someone coming to your fucking job, dude.
Right.
And like, Seinfeld had a bit on it where they were heckling. That's her fucking job. She's in the office right now. I'll never understand hecklers. You got to, even if they're not funny, the comedian's not funny. She was funny. Even if they're not funny, you got to respect everybody.
Yeah.
And when it's the first.
You just hit on a key component, respect, right?
I'm all about that.
The LGBT community wants respect.
Right. But they don't want to give. Yeah.
But you have to give respect to get respect. And that's where they're going wrong.
Right. And it's the first time in history, I think, and this kind of goes back to like what we've been talking about. It's the first time I think we've ever faced people that pretend to be good under the guise of doing good, but doing good by being bad. And what I mean by that is, how do we fight racism now? By racism.
Right.
That's how they do it. They fight racism with racism. How do they fight hate? Fight it with hate. The minute that they hear something they don't like, they attack the person with hate that they did. And we've never done that before in a Christian way. Not that, we've talked about that.
Right.
Not that we're the most religious people on earth, but in Christianity, which is what they want to get completely away from, you forgive. Somebody, whatever, does something bad to you, you learn to forgive them because for two things. It's not helping you. It's only making you more angry.
Right.
And you can't get on with your life. And then, it's not your right to hate. It's God's right or whatever. But you forgive, and that helps you move on. And it's interesting to me that we've got farther away from Christianity. At the same time, we use hate. We use that to try to remedy a situation. And it's like I said, if there's a racist problem, they fight it with, the diversity is racism. It just simply is. You're giving somebody something by taking away from somebody else, or vice versa. And that's just not the way it should work. And then that's kind of the back. But I'm just rambling, going.
I think what people fail to realize is that it's okay to disagree with someone. It's perfectly fine. But it's not okay to try to ruin someone because they don't believe the same way you believe.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're seeing in today's society. It's just like these people on Facebook, if they see a comment that they don't like, they gotta fucking make a comment. You don't like it, scroll. Move past it.
Dude, so I've always likened that, and I'm not a social media guy at all, never partaken in it, but to me it's like if you're at a party, right? And we've all been to those crazy parties, and you got like the stoners on one side, and you got like, you might see a guy with a swastika shirt. You already know, right? You're like, well, I'm that guy.
I'm staying away from him.
I'm staying away from that guy because he looks angry.
Right.
So you're in a group and one guy comes up, starts saying shit you don't like, you can just move. You can go somewhere else. Never in my life have I sat, you know what? I'm going to spend the next instead of drinking and having a good time with my friends and laughing, I'm going to spend it all night trying to change this guy's mind with anger.
Yes.
And that is essentially what it is. Like, you know what? You're not going to change that fucking guy. You might be able to put fear in a lot of people, but you're not going to change him. And in the end, I still get to go home and laugh inside of my head or laugh around and say all the shit that you don't like. But that, I think, that's what really bothers them. Is like, even with the transgender thing, it's like they want you to identify them even when you're not around them. Like, and fair enough. But you can't tell people that don't want to do that they have to do that in the privacy of their own home or this and that. And, that's
it's
the sensitivity. Well, and that's the whole sensitivity thing too. It's like, don't fucking worry about what I do. Worry about what you do. But
exactly. I'm going to treat everyone the same until they show me that they don't deserve to be treated that way. In other words, I don't care if you're white, black, brown, green, Asian, Mexican, whatever the case may be. If I don't like you, it's because of your character. It has nothing to do with skin color or your ethnic background or
Mhm.
anything like that. If you're a dick, you're a dick. It has nothing to do with what your outside skin looks like.
Mhm.
And so I'm just going to choose to not be around you. Problem solved.
That's it. That's it. That's it in a nutshell, right? You're not. No one really. I mean, I'm sure there's some people, but again, I think I covered that. And I said the guy with the swastika shirt on is probably not anybody you want to talk. Not even if you were down with that, you probably don't want to talk to him anyway because I doubt he's read a whole lot of books. There's a reason why he's fucking angry too,
Right.
and that's just making up for that by hating somebody else and blaming somebody else for your problems, which is pretty much essentially what everybody does. If I'm not happy, I must not be happy because of you. And again, man, it goes back to what I said. If you're so fucking happy because you can do this or you can get married and you can and great, whatever, I could care less. But why aren't you happy? You made some good boundaries, and
You know why I was against gay marriage? It has nothing to do with being gay.
because you knew they were going to want another mile.
No, because I feel sorry for them fuckers.
Oh.
We're already suffering as it is
Dude.
a straight married couple. Why would you want
Yeah.
to put yourself in that situation?
That's what I
mean?
thought. You know who was? You know the happiest motherfuckers when that happened was divorce lawyers. Because they were like,
Money,
holy
money.
shit! Like, man, I'm going to be busy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want. I love being married, but so I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. If you want part of this misery, get right on in there and take it.
There
Fuck
you
it.
go.
Everybody should have some of this shit.
That's right. Share the wealth.
Yeah, you
But
want to.
I think we talked about the Chris Rock incident earlier, and I think it was important that it happened.
Is that the Will Smith deal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Will Smith smacked him, I think it did two things, right? Number one, it brought all these other hecklers out to all these other comedians, and they thought they could do the same shit,
Mm-hmm.
right? What it really did is it made comedians say, "Oh hell no,
Mm-hmm.
you're not fucking pulling that shit on me," and it just helped the pendulum swing just a little bit more back to center,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, because they tried that shit with Chappelle, right?
Mm-hmm.
That dude got his ass beat.
Yeah.
And I've
Dude,
seen.
they got him behind that stage when there's no one looking.
Oh yeah, what?
That's the key, right? Make sure no one sees.
They beat his ass on the stage, and then they dragged him off, and then beat his ass even more. But I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube now of similar incidents, and comedians. It's like, bring it.
Mhm.
It's kind of giving them back the courage to go back to their roots, and do comedy the way it was meant to be, instead of worrying about hurting people's feelings. And I don't understand why you would go to a show, pay your money that you earn to somebody you don't like to begin with, just to try to prove a point. Well,
Yeah, dude, I've never like that's kind of what I was just saying about that lady that had. What are you going to the fucking show
yeah,
for? Then?
yeah,
If that shit, look, I don't like. As I've aged, I used to love live music. I'm not a big. I don't want to go to a. I want to talk. Like we
Yeah.
were just all out at that freaking bar up the street, right? We were like, it drove me nuts. I used to love that.
Could
But I don't
you-
go to those places anymore because I don't like it. I certainly don't go there and say, I'm going to go, what are you going to do tonight, Ryan? Want to have a drink?
Mm.
I'm going to sit and bitch at the manager. See if I can get him to turn the music down and never ever turn it up this loud again.
right.
Right? Like I'm gonna fix him tonight.
Right.
That's my job. That's my time on earth I want to spend trying to freaking change him.
So these people that do that to these shows, they're two-time losers, right? Because number one, you spent your money,
Mhm.
you're not getting it back, and you made a spectacle of yourself, and you got thrown out.
Yep.
So
And they
I
didn't
don't
look good
get
getting thrown out. And she wasn't being kind about it either. She was like all the shit I was thinking, she was saying it. I was like, good for you.
have you heard of a guy named Andrew Schultz? He's a comedian.
Yeah, I think so. He's
He was on Rogan not
Okay.
too long ago. This dude's hilarious, man,
oh, is he a thin guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
and he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
He'll pick on anybody, on anything, any topic. No fucks given, right?
Right.
And he's funny. That's what makes it even better,
Nice.
And he's laughing while he's making fun of these people, right?
Yeah.
And it's just he cracks himself up, which is to me that's
funny.
even more
That's funny.
hilarious,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But yeah, I think comedy, is probably our only saving grace at this point. If we can get back to just being able to laugh, life would be so much better.
Dude,
Think
so
about it. Endorphins are released when you laugh.
no,
You
yeah,
feel better.
but my comedy, and I'm not disagreeing with you because you're probably onto something there. But we were just talking about this show. I started watching. It was called From, is what it's called. And by the way, you got to check it out. It's pretty awesome. I don't detect any woke bullshit. I try to stay away from that today. I like most of the shit I won't go back and watch. Like I think I just watched UFO was on Prime.
Really?
TV. It's like 1971. It has the disco theme, and it's crazy,
Oh,
dude.
wow.
It's got some good storylines on. There's no woke. There's there's a couple social commentary shit in there, but they're not killing you with ramming shit down your throat about here's how we think. This is how we'd like if you think. And this show was a lot like that. And my takeaway, after I was thinking about it, it's kind of more of a horror drama. Like it's a different take that they're, I don't want to ruin anything, but it's good. And what they spend time focusing on is the fucking story. These people got to survive. There's a lot going on.
What's it called again?
It's
UFO?
called From.
Oh, From.
Yeah, UFO's the old space
Okay.
one I went back on, but it's great too. So if you want to check that out, it's free. Um,
It's not like what's that stupid ass movie you made me watch? I've already forgotten.
Heaven's Gate.
Yes.
Yep. No, it's not nothing like that.
I'm gun shy right now.
No, dude.
You know.
Well, check out From. But one of the things I liked was that they were focused on these people got to survive, and they don't really. And even in the survival or horror today, they can find time to fucking drop their shit about, hey, while we're doing this, like their race card or someone's being mean and someone intervenes. This is how you should do this. This show doesn't really do it. They focus on it, but there are different races. There's a lesbian couple in there. There's a black sheriff, and he's fucking awesome. And you don't even think about it because it's not mentioned. There's no back storyline of why he all the shit he went through, and he was treated differently.
He's just the sheriff.
He's just a fucking sheriff, and he
Just a
does a
man.
great job of it. And he's kept the town together, and they compliment him on that, and they're thankful for him. And at the end of the, I got through the first season. I'm like, God damn, it's a good show.
What platform is it on?
I think it's Amazon right now, and you can get it for free right now. Yeah, and it's commercial free.
$3.99.
$3.99. Yeah, but it's good, dude. And so my takeaway was, you almost kind of got to have a show like that puts you in a situation like that where you have something else to worry about. Comedy, back to what you were saying, is one of the worst things now because they fucking sprinkle our comedy with these turds of hey, you're watching a comedy, but we're gonna throw in some shit.
Yep.
And you thought you were watching a comedy, but it's not a comedy because we can't be funny anymore because we don't want to offend anybody. And it's all on the same platform. They just take one comedy, they put it in a different situation, but it's the same goddamn story you've seen 17 different times from other comedies. So
Which brings up a great point. It seems like there's no originality.
that's it. There's none. There's the days of I go back and watch The Office every now and again. That's fucking hysterical, dude. And there's so many plays on the political incorrectness that but it's great. Dude, it's done. I honestly believe television comedies are done.
Well, even The Office was redone because that was originally a British show.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
But that's done. You'll never see Seinfeld again.
no.
You'll never see. They're done. Because now even if they do a comedy, they have to lace it with some sort of shit, and it's got to. Dude, this is the time frame I think that when the last 10 years will be unwatchable because people will go back and everything that you watch 30 years from now, if you come back to this generation, like you were watching, you said, Welcome Back, Kotter. We've talked about the comedies that we watched. Great, movies from the time. You can go back and relive them, rewatch them, and go get down with it. But I think that's done, especially for this next decade or so, because what you're getting into is people that took shit too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, when Trump was president, there wasn't a fucking comedy you could watch that didn't mention his name. There was some sort of banter or joke, and
Right.
like our president,
Right.
and that fucking crowd, the stupid audience
Late night
laugh.
TV programs.
Yeah, late night
worse.
TV, which have always, not to this degree, but have always kind of tinged a little bit. If you watch Carson, he'd make a few comments about President, a joke, but he'd move on and get out of it. He didn't spend the whole fucking opening act talking about it.
Right.
But, dude, this is going to be unwatchable. Like, we go back and watch Seinfeld. We go back and watch Cheers, which is classic. You watch the old Roseannes if you'd like. Cosby, if you like. You can watch Barney Miller, all those shows, whatever you want to watch, you could go back and watch them. The last 10 years of comedy and moving forward, no one's ever going to say, what are you going to do this weekend? I'm going to sit down and watch Ted Lasso.
Well, the days of sitcoms and even your TV dramas are rapidly dwindling because all of your platforms, your streaming platforms nowadays, nobody's watching TV. Everybody's watching Amazon or Hulu or whatever,
And that's the damn of a dude because I got a friend, his kid's 24 years old, and they just got married. So he bought him a TV, he bought him a big ass TV, and he goes, they haven't even watched it yet. And this was like a year ago. Mm-hmm. And I go, why not? He goes, all they do is look at their phones. They watch quick bits of stuff on their phones because kids don't watch TV. Dude, I can't get my kids to watch anything with me. Anything. And, I got a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old. They won't watch shit. Dude, if I mention, hey, man, like Super Mario, you want to come in and watch that? It's on Amazon or whatever. And they say, no. And they get worried and run because they think I might make them sit down and watch a fucking movie with me. And to them, that's an hour and a half that I can't be on my phone or doing TikTok or whatever the hell that is they're doing, or playing video games generally.
You know what? That brings up a really good point because I think all these devices nowadays, all these social media platforms, it has ruined the nucleus of the family.
Right? Oh, yeah, 100%, yeah.
Nobody gets together anymore, like you just said. There used to be a time where you'd come together after dinner as a family, sit down.
Appointment television, you sit down and watch TV.
Yeah.
Now you can just, we didn't have TVs in our room though either, right?
Right.
Like my parents wouldn't allow me to have a TV. If I watched TV, it had to be out with them or in their room. But for the most part, we'd watch, it was appointment television.
Yeah.
And to your point, that's where I was going with that is, so when you hear those theories of why is everything so woke, why is comedy so tame now? Well, they're making it for modern audiences, right? Like modern audiences, look, I can fucking tell you, my modern audience and my 13-year-old and 16-year-old aren't watching your shit. I can't get them to watch 5 minutes of your shit. So you're not making it for them because they're not watching it. Right. And the generation doesn't know what you're doing. They could care less. So they're not seeing your woke bullshit. My old sorry ass is, and I don't like it. And that's literally, so who are you making it for? So if you can, on one hand, can go, we're trying to change the next generation. We're trying to show for modern audiences, and we want them to see the way we would like to view the world through today's eyes. And they're not fucking watching it because they're on their phone playing Roblox. You got 2 kids. Yeah. You have to walk in and not see your kid on the thing. That's what they do.
You're right.
They're not watching Ted Lasso.
But I will tell you this, and I hear what you're saying, and I know every family's different. My kids will sit down and we'll watch something together. Mm-hmm. Every now and then.
You gotta duct tape them to the chair.
No, surprisingly not.
Bullshit.
But it has to be something that they want to watch.
Super Mario. Like I can't get them. Like I haven't seen it. I heard his granny go, let's sit down. I'll make some freaking popcorn. Next thing you know, there's freaking 2 full bowls of popcorn sitting on a couch, and mine's empty. Dude, don't get mad at me.
Really?
Yeah, they'll be like, my son will just sit there and go, shake his head and just won't watch.
Well, he's at that age.
Yeah, you can indulge me a little bit.
But
I try.
So we need to wrap this up because it's already been an hour, believe it or not.
I already knew that. I mean, I've been over here rambling for like.
So, I think here's my take. Okay, I think that obviously comedy is not what it used to be, but I think that it could be the saving grace if more and more comedians, which we're seeing nowadays, they're getting over that fear of being canceled, right? They're getting over that fear of, well, I can't say that. That's some funny shit, but I can't say it because it'll hurt too many people's feelings. At the end of the day, if you don't like it, don't fucking watch it.
That's how it used to be, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the way it goes anymore. It's like, if we don't like it, you can't be on TV.
Right.
And when I say we, I mean this evil side of the modern world.
It just comes down to, just selfishness, right? Mm-hmm. I don't like it, so you shouldn't like it either. Mm-hmm. And if I don't like it, you can't watch it, or you can't listen, or you can't whatever the case may be. And That's not the American way. Sorry, not the America I fucking grew up in the country I served. But I'll leave everybody with this. If my comments on the LGBTQ community offended you, this is probably not the podcast. So move on.
Yeah, and then let me give my side. That
Yeah.
there's not going to comedy, maybe specials because you're still seeing it, but as long as they don't tiptoe around it, that's great. You know, like I said, I just mentioned a few, and you can see them just say, "Fuck, I've had enough of this shit," which I don't blame them. They should. They 100%
Absolutely.
tear that shit up. Make fun. You're at a comedy club. Make fun of that pig. She can say whatever. You can say whatever. She's a beast. Tell her to put the hot dog down. Ease up. You're gonna die of heart failure, and no one wants to look like that. Don't kid yourself. I know you don't either. It just takes too much for you to get on a fucking treadmill and lose weight, and pass up a fucking McDonald's. You know. Good luck with that. And you know, but my take is if they don't straighten up like the comedy shit, if they keep baiting and switching our asses with this, you know, like
Your shows that you're
the shows, like I was talking about Ted Lasso, I mentioned to you earlier. In real quickly, I'll say, you know, the first season was great. I think it's what everybody needed. It was lighthearted. It was almost kind of Andy Griffithy, right? It's got that fucking psychology edge. Like Andy's always outsmarting everybody.
Right.
He had that Oakley Dokley kind of shit. But they switched it, man. And next thing you know, it became about interracial couples. And then this season's got like 2 gay couples, which, you know, no one cares, but that's not why you're doing it. You're doing it because you want to ram some shit down our throat that you think that we're not down with.
Right.
You're trying to meet your freaking scores or whatever the hell it is you're doing. And as a result, the show sucks ass. And
you ruined a good thing.
you ruined a good thing. And if you need to know any more of the shit, when we were growing up, Mary Tyler Moore, and Newhart, they have a show that Ted Knight, but they have a show Ted Knight.
Yep.
I'm just making shit up.
Rhoda, I think.
Rhoda,
Yep.
Roseanne, they were in their fucking shows. They
Yeah.
were in their shows. Almost everything centered around them or part of it. If they got off of them, it was just briefly. They came right back to them. Having said that, I have been recording Ted Lasso because it's like 55 minutes, and I will hit, and I'm fucking generous too, by the way. Like, if he even walks by the camera, I hit the fucking timer. Out of like 55 minutes in this last episode, I think it was episode 10. So he was like in his own show for like 8 minutes and 12 minutes, and then I thought, well, it'll get better because they're going to close out the season, I think.
Right.
And then last night I hit it. The show was like, the episode was 54 minutes long. He was in it for 3 fucking minutes. Now picture
The main
Andy Griffith show. Andy Griffith being in the show for fucking, what is that?
They're half-hour
Like-
shows. So
10% of the show? Picture Andy Griffith being in an episode only 10% of the
you
time.
wouldn't watch it.
It's not the Andy Griffith
Yeah,
show, but
you
that's
wouldn't
what
watch
happened. It was a bait and switch. It was, hey, we'll lure you in with this coach, and then either they ran out of shit to write about, or this was on purpose, because now it's about these 2 strong female couples and everything, and it's pushing this fucking agenda of we don't care about, and we never have.
It was purposefully done.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. So I've told the wife, moving forward, we're not allowed to watch any shows. Comedies, number 1, unless it's been on for 3 fucking seasons. Then I read reviews and see where I think it's going, because most likely it's been canceled, or it's fucking bait and switch anyway. So,
Yeah.
like, this show shouldn't even be called Ted Lasso. It should be called freaking
2 dykes on a
2
bike.
pigs and a fucking soccer team or football team, wherever you're from.
Comedy's our savior. We need to get back to it.
Yeah.
We need to get
think
back
so.
to laughing.
You know, we need Eddie Murphy back. He needs to come back, and he needs to just get out there and insult everybody. And
Lighten up is what I'm going to say. Lighten up, people. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to laugh at yourself, because we're laughing at you.
we certainly are.
Anyway, great topic, man. We could go on for hours on this topic, I think, but we're not going to.
We're not going to. You know what we're going to do next time, I think? Mentioning UFO. We're going to watch the UFO, because that'd be a great...
Okay.
It's kind of a comedy. Because it's so... My kids will come in here and go, the music, and they'll go, oh my God. Shit, I'm like, it's not that bad.
All right, so I need to watch UFO.
Dude, you got to watch From.
From.
You've
That's
got to
the
watch From. Now, maybe I'm off, but maybe you'll pick up on something. I don't see the woke shit. I'm sure there's some shit in there, you know, but it's not piped down your throat. Like, here, you're gonna take this, you're gonna eat it, and you're gonna enjoy it.
You know, I don't mind a little bit of modern society in a show. A little bit, because it's reality.
Yeah, that is. But it's
don't focus on it, man.
They don't.
Focus
That's
on
what
the
I'm saying.
story. That's what's important.
There's a lesbian, but it's not the main thing. It's not like everything. It's they've got other shit to do. They gotta fucking survive. Today it's funny, man, because like you'll watch a survival horror or something like that, and the lesbian couple will find time to go crazy, fucking sex wise, and and it's like, now that's how I think, dude. I could be on fire, right, and I would be like, yeah, I'll have, I swear, an axe guy. I always thought I was wrong for that, right? Like, a guy chase me with an axe, I'll stop. We'll have, I don't care. We'll find some time. But to see it done today, and it's generally just done so they can push some sort of, And the other thing is the lesbian couple's always really happy, and the straight couple is always fucking arguing. They're miserable.
There's an agenda.
That's
There's
my
an
favorite.
agenda.
Like straight marriages are just the worst.
Right. They are. I mean, no, they're not. Anyway, hey, guys, thanks for watching. Again, like I said, if you're offended by anything you heard in this podcast, move the fuck on. Find something else, because we're not stopping. Enjoy doing this topic, man. This is a good one. We should do more. But if you like it, go ahead and hit subscribe. Click like, all that fucking other shit that everybody always says. I always forget to say that stuff, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this.
Good times, man. Good times.
Check out, if you've never seen Eddie Murphy Raw, or if you've never seen Dice Clay, and
Who hasn't seen those?
well, I'd say
This
a lot of
is
the
fucking
modern
crazy. I don't even know what we're doing here.
But
Go back and watch the old Richard Pryor stand-up
Yes.
Sunset Strip, right?
Yep.
Those are awesome. Check it. You know what? I haven't seen any of Dice Clay in years, so I don't know how they stand up.
I'm gonna go back and watch it. I
Okay.
still think his what was his one special?
I think he hit it the right moment, but I don't know if it would have the.
But it was gimmicky. I mean, let's face it, he was a character, right?
Yeah, he was a character. Yeah.
What's his real name? Andrew Silverstein
Yeah.
or something like that?
Yeah, remember that was the big catch. Yeah, because
Yeah.
he was supposed to be a hard mafia kind of.
Yeah, the fucking Guido from the fucking Bronx.
Oh,
and he's not even Italian.
Yeah.
Forget about
He
it.
wasn't even Italian. Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace.